Hi, good afternoon here in Los Angeles. It's Valerie Milano, senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I want to welcome our guest, Eric Ibarra, and he's going to continue to introduce himself a little bit. So go for it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Eric Ibarra. I'm a Los Angeles-based filmmaker, grew up all around the world. This is my sixth film, and I am really, really proud of this. It's a project I'm excited to talk to you about. It's called Of Things Past. It's a fascinating project that spanned over 30 years to make. I was brought in on the last like 5, but definitely a really, really interesting one that kind of lands in your plate and you're really excited about. So yeah. Yep.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. This is something kind of special. The movie began filming in what, 1985, I believe.
Yeah, I think 84.
Okay,
Yeah.
never was released. It was reimagined, and additional scenes were filmed to update, the story. And the result is a very watchable, emotional journey that is wonderful. It has wonderful actors. Just a really wonderful way for the unreleased gem to find new life here in 2023. Back in 2023, which we just got into 2024 on Amazon, correct? Amazon, Vudu, and VOD.
And yes, Amazon Vudu for sure, and VOD. Yep.
Okay. This film seems like it would have played well when it was originally shot.
Yeah.
Why was this film not released in 85? Or can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, as, I'm 30. It was shot before I was born, 31, but I was shot before I was born, which is incredible.
Makes it interesting, yes.
Yeah, but, as a student of film, it's something that I think has been so interesting for me to learn, in that it's part of Hollywood history that just so much gets shot and it gets put into these banks. I mean, I will go into this hopefully in a little bit, but one of the hardest and craziest parts about this project for me, I not only directed the modern footage, but I also edited the modern footage and did the final edit for the whole project. So one of the large parts of the project for me was really going into Fotokem, which is, for those that don't know, is a huge photo storage place in Burbank, that through, the 70s, I think 60s to modern day has stored tens of thousands of reels in these basements, in their basement, in these cooled air cooled lockers essentially. And we had to find these original reels. And trust me, this is not the only film that has just been sitting for 30 years back down there. I think, unfortunately, from what I know, it had politics come to it. It had sales potentials pass by and not pass by. It had, the distribution cycle of it fell through. Because it is, as a standalone, I was given, I think, 62 minutes. The original piece was 62 minutes. I ended up releasing an 84-minute piece that I shot about 30 and then cut a little bit of the original footage just to make it more watchable and whatnot. But almost all of the original stuff is in there. And yeah, it's a beautiful piece on its own, but politics and, being a movie of the week style piece that it was originally created for, definitely had a limited shelf life, a limited run potential. It was kind of one of those like silver screen type, Starling type things. It had a huge name in Michael Moriarty at the time. He had just come off of Law and Order, so definitely had that star power attached. But yeah, maybe wasn't a classic theatrical release in the 80s. But I think a lot of that was definitely politics and just unfortunate. And then it coming to really one of my EPs that I've worked with for about 7 years now, an incredible indie producer named Pete Bollinger. He's made a lot of great sales and really helped smaller projects find their market and find their distribution place. Maybe it's Amazon, maybe it's television, wherever it is. And he's actually he championed the movie BlacKkKlansman by Spike Lee, and wrote the original book that's based on. So Pete has this history of just like people bringing him projects. And he came up to me, we'd finished another movie and was like, hey man, how do we sell this? And I was like, it's 60 minutes, bro. Nobody wants to sell a 60-minute movie nowadays. And so we went to our sales agents and we went to like, how do we get this released? Because it's really, really good. And one of our great sales agents was like, hey man, if you give me an 84-minute piece, I would love to help you take this to market. And I said to Pete, hey man, can I shoot 20 more minutes and finish this story and find a way to like make this a modern take on the story? And then working with the original director, who was my creative producer kind of on this. We can talk about that too in a second, but D. Paul, the original director that's credited for both of us directing it. And I think he'd be more than willing to say this. I really took the modern part of the project under wraps, but he was so amazing in letting me take control of this project in the modern era. But working with him to like figure out how to really tell the story was a really, really interesting part of that. So yeah, I think there is definitely room for these older stories to come back to the audience nowadays. But being honest about them and being respectful to their original project is really important.
Great. Yeah. Well, speaking of the original, how did Peter Bollinger do, or can you even answer this?
Yeah.
How did he come into the picture to lead the reimagining?
Yeah. So D. Paul Thomas, the original director, is the creative director on the other production company attached to this called TGA Productions, and him and Sam Mayhew, Dr. Sam Mayhew, who's the executive producer of that company, had bought out the rights for this, finally kind of brought it back to D. Paul. It had, again, people legally had different elements of it, and it was just not really cleaned up in producing. Something as a young producer it taught me is the importance of clean, early onset producing. I think that, we often want to like go run, and trust me, I've made $20,000 grinders and I love them. I'm making a 30,000 horror film right now and absolutely having a blast, but there's so much importance to just clean early onset producing that allows your project to reach market and to reach an audience that you want it to reach. So Pete was brought on through a friend of a friend, and they said, Dr. Sam and D. Paul came to Pete and said, hey, we know you've had success selling a lot of, other movies, getting them just out to audiences. And Pete brought it to me and said, hey man, what do we do? Because I've helped him with a little bit of those sales in the past. And me and Pete came back to them and said, we'd love to just shoot some more if that's cool with you guys. And they were open and amenable and great creative partnerships. A lot of projects come across my plate that, you have to say no to, and sometimes they have more money, sometimes they have less. But every project had its own reasons. And I think this one had a lot of potential for it failing or breaking apart, but it's on the people and really on Dr. Sam and Pete and D. Paul to be amenable to listening to each other's ideas and collaborating creatively, but also like producing wise. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for that. Obviously having Louise Caire Clark on board, to the old with the new was a key. But how did the other performers react to this concept of the update and having their work from nearly 40 years ago to find new life?
Yeah, I mean, Louise is definitely the individual I worked with the most because she's the only character that transitions through both elements. I worked with Tara as well quite a bit, and she was incredible to work with. I think, we reached out to Michael and he gave us his blessing. He didn't seem exceptionally, he was very open to like, this is what's going to happen. And I think that was really interesting. I think a lot of performers, and obviously some amazing older performers that unfortunately have passed away, that just, this is kind of part of their legacy that's like coming out into the world now. I think, but I think with Louise, it was really, really amazing because she got to find a character, but also obviously her modern character is so different from her older character, even as an actress trying to find those like relationships, just as a human being literally 30 years older, that changes so much on how you act, how you approach. She hadn't been in front of the camera in 20 years, 15 years, I think. Yeah.
The end credits for the additional scenes listed 3 names under In Memory, and you talked about those a little bit. Are those 3 people from the original movies cast or any of them from the crew?
I think they're all cast members. Yeah, I think it's all cast members. Yeah.
This whole thing just fascinates me how this worked out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I concur. Yeah.
Okay, so Tara Reid was excellent in this role, as the adult Kiki, and she was credited as executive producer. This isn't American Pie hijinks, and frankly, she's had a rough go since those films, on and off screen. How was she supposed to work on this film? Was she supposed to work on this film project?
Tara came out of the blue. We had an incredible casting director in Anya Vetkin. She's a casting director out of Burbank. And we've worked with her a couple of times. And one of my big things on this with Pete was I really want to work with a casting director to make sure that that role is crucial. I mean, obviously the modern day footage is only her and Laura, right? And Louise plays the character of Laura.
Right.
And I wanted a strong actress that can carry the screen and that can find arcs. And that was really crucial to me. I have a BFA in acting and I came through the acting world as a child actor on stage and stuff. And so I knew that like this is a character study piece and it needs someone that's going to take respect and responsibility of this character and really of the project, because for those that haven't watched it, it doesn't even bookend it chapter marks really a lot of the original story, and making sure that they could bring our audience through that was crucial to me, and recognizing both how to transition the story through a larger arc, but also bring our audience in and out of this older, 4:3, original Betamax footage that was delivered. And I think Tara, yeah, I had an interview with her. I don't think she'll mind me saying this. It was the randomest 5-minute interview. She was out on vacation. I think her agent had submitted, and I had some of the same conversations you're having of, okay, can she carry this? And immediately I was like, oh, she asked pointed character questions, and that was it. And how would I achieve it? And I was like, oh, you know how to make a movie. And I think that's something that I remember coming off that interview, because we interviewed maybe 7 or 8 actresses in her range, both, sales wise as well as experience, as well, obviously, age and type as well. But I remember talking to the producers after each one, and just being like, with Tara, I remember being like, this is a professional actress. I can work with this. Would be very excited to work with this. And I think that's something that really taught me on this project. Again, having worked on stuff that's maybe in the micro low budget world, with actors or actresses that don't necessarily have the same amount of just like true like built-in experience in their soul of making choices as actresses. And I thought that was something I immediately responded to. And then it was true in the rehearsal process. I mean, she gave me a couple of weeks of solid rehearsals, worked with Louise, and then was one of the most graceful and giving like co-actresses on screen. I mean, she would do things like Louise would have, we shot single cam, and there would be close-ups on Louise where, Tara is clearly 7 feet behind camera sometimes, just given blocking or whatever. And Tara was there fully the whole way, would have conversations about character, even when clearly camera wasn't on her. She was in no way whatsoever a diva. She was so willing to work with. She, was insanely respectful to the whole crew. Yeah. I can only say amazing things about Tara. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to say about the film? If not, I'm going to just move on to what you're working on next.
Yeah, no, I guess my last note is just like, I think that something so interesting about this is that it was 2 different elements. And I think the first thing is like, as a filmmaker, I am really lucky that it taught me so much about old school, about different styles of filmmaking. And I think that there's something there for audiences to remember that like, this is an art form that we all love. And while like, Marvel's awesome and a lot of like what we see on Netflix is awesome, I think that remembering that like we watch the screen because we want to see a cool story and good actors do good acting is a huge part of it. And that's something that like, I don't know, I'm really happy that I relearned or like remembered via this project. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you. So you're based out of Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm based out of Los Angeles. I'm based out of North Hollywood. Yeah.
Cool. So you touched on real briefly what you're working on. It's horror?
Yeah, so I have a couple projects in development, or I have a project in development and a project in post. I have a horror feature called The Faces We See. That's about a boy that sees demons. It's kind of like one of the first truly personal projects to me, which has been really fun. I've always enjoyed being a director for hire and helping other people tell their stories like of things past. But yeah, this one's about a boy, and and his attempt at falling in love with someone, even though he knows they're a demon. And I think that was really interesting for me. It's heavy VFX. We're shot out. It stars two incredible actors that I've actually oddly been fortunate enough to know since I was in my teens. But Scott Alda Coffey, who's Alan Alda's grandson and is an amazing actor. And Scott killed it. I've known him since I was like 16. And a good friend of both of ours. We went to a performing arts high school in Massachusetts called Walnut Hill. And the three of us. And the other actress is a girl named Tessa Mossy. And she's been on lots and lots of shows. But yeah, Tess and Scott did such a beautiful job just like finding out like what love is and like what we are scared of falling in love with, while it's a demon horror film about him seeing demons all over Los Angeles.
Right.
So that's what I have in post right now.
And
yeah,
so
and then
when can we expect it? And you're going to keep the Hollywood Times posted, right?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
keep you guys posted for sure. Yeah, hope to drop March, April at the latest. Into like a premiere screening, trying to do some festival run with it.
Festivals, yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping for the fall festival run on it.
Well, then I'm sure we will meet in person at some point.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and development on my first like $2 million feature as a producer. I'm line producing it. I line produce as well, so I'm line producing a friend's $2 million horror film that I'm very excited about called Jezebel.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we're the HollywoodTimes.today, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official. So we will be continuing to spread the word on you, Eric, and this wonderful film as well. And please keep us posted on everything, Eric.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Valerie. I really appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Okay, bye.